And this is also so that you have a reference later when you're filling in your application or doing your research. So we'll be posting this to the IPO website. So please do feel free to use the chat box to ask questions. Unless you send the questions directly to me, they will be seen by everyone. And so just bear that in mind. I'll do my best to answer questions at the end of the session. So feel free to send them during the presentation, but for the most part, I'll answer the questions at the end. And if you do have a question that's specific to your situation, then the best thing to do is visit one of our Zoom rooms. The schedules are up on the IPO website, or make an individual advising appointment. And I'll tell you about how to do that at the end of the session. So just in terms of being as transparent as possible, there is the potential for future programs to be cancelled because of the impact of COVID. We're really optimistic that exchange will run as normal for the academic year 2022-23, but we just can't predict exactly what things are going to be looking like. As you know, some countries are still a little bit more locked down than others. Other countries are pretty open. And so there may also be some kind of impacts regionally. So if for any reason you were to apply and then your exchange were cancelled, you will be able to reapply in another year. And what we'll do is we'll just provide you as much information as we have in as timely a manner as we have. Like I said, we're pretty optimistic that exchange will run as normal for 2022-23. But we just think it's important to flag that, obviously this could be impacted by COVID. So I'd love to go into kind of all of the partners that we have in detail, but that's just not possible because we have over 100 partners in 30 destinations. So instead, what I want to do is give you a kind of a broad overview of these agreements. And so Queen's looks for the following traits in its exchange partners: academic excellence, shared values, and student support. And so the aim is that through or with any of our partners is that you find all of these things, and they will ensure that you have a good experience when you're abroad. But of course, the experience is going to be very different depending on who you are and also the exchange partner. So although there are some fundamentals that hopefully will be the same, but your experience may differ quite differently. So for example, partners may offer a different length of study. For example, some of our partners, or 3 of our partners, offer full year exchange only, and 14 only offer semester long exchange only. Some partners offer funding opportunities for incoming students. For example, the University of Sheffield in the UK or the United Kingdom offers around £750 sterling a term in a competitive scholarship. Another differentiating factor between our partners is the history of our partnership. So we've had some of these relationships for decades, but others like ones with Hong Kong Baptist University, the University of Stirling, and some new partners in China are very new. In fact, we just signed agreements with, I think you'll find 5 new partners in China, mainland China, and then 1 in Taiwan. The academic focus of the exchange agreement may be what we call university-wide, which means it includes all faculties that are partner, or it may just be specific to arts and science. So I just mentioned that because you may find that then, depending on the university, the exchange partner, you may find that there are students from Queen's, from other faculties when you go on your exchange. And finally, the size of our partner universities can really vary. So for instance, the Complutense University of Madrid in Spain, this is a partner in the Transatlantic Science Student Exchange Program, had a student population of 78,000, whereas the student population at University College Utrecht in the Netherlands is 677. So again, that really speaks to the difference in experience. So hopefully when you're doing your own research, you'll also find out some of those differences, and they will help you make a decision about where to apply. So you should see on our screen flags from various destinations that our partners reside in, and the number beside the flag tells you how many partner universities we have in each destination. So one of the top questions we receive about our partners is, which are the popular ones? This changes every year, so we can't ever provide an exact answer, but we do know that there are some areas of the world that tend to see higher subscription every year. So to give you some perspective, some of the top requested partners in last year's application cycle were the University of Edinburgh, which had 142 applications for 12 single semester placements. University College Dublin, which had 102 applications for 3 single semester placements, and the University of Glasgow, which had 98 applications for 12 semesters. We should note that students can list up to 6 partners on their application, so we hope and expect that many of the students who didn't receive placement at Edinburgh or University College Dublin or Glasgow were able to be placed elsewhere, but it just shows the popularity of some partners. And so because of this, we always advise you to think broadly about where you might want to go and consider a university or destination that you haven't previously. So if you really want to go on exchange and you're not too bothered about the country or destination, maybe think about where you would a slightly less obvious choice. And if you want to talk to us about that, then like I said, you can come to a Zoom room or to book an advising appointment to drill down into that a little bit more. And we do know that some of the most popular exchange destinations include the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, France, the Netherlands, and Singapore. So again, just think outside maybe of those boxes. So as I mentioned previously, I can't do a full instruction to every partner, but I can hopefully provide some steps to help you meet them yourself. So begin with building a base knowledge of our exchange programs. We have 6 different exchange programs, and they all have slightly different features of them. Begin thinking about general topics you need to learn more about, like what are the academics like at the host institution? What are your finances looking like? Some countries may be more expensive than others. What is the housing situation? Does the university offer on-campus housing or not? What does the accommodation itself look like? What opportunities are there to be involved in extracurriculars and social life? And where do you think you might be successful in living abroad? So if you haven't watched our Exchange 101 webinar, really encourage you to do that. And then start reviewing the partnerships that we have. So pay particular attention to the eligibility requirements for each partner. We really want to make sure that you're applying for universities that you're qualified for. So a couple of really simple examples. We have in our bilateral program, most partners require 2.6 GPA, but some do require a 3.0 GPA. We will not place you at a university requiring a 3.0 GPA if you have a 2.6 GPA. That is a requirement, a pretty hard requirement from a partner. And then also, there's also the Transatlantic Science Student Exchange Program. That is just for science students. So if you are an art student, please do not apply to the Transatlantic Science Student Exchange Program. So in addition to looking at the eligibility requirements, we think it's really important for you just to kind of look inwards a little bit. Think about what you want and what you need from partner universities and from your experience, and then use our tools to determine which partners are a suitable match. So I'm just going to walk through steps 2 to 4 a little bit to maybe help you do that a bit better. So like I said, GPA is a really big factor when it comes to eligibility. Like I said, some have a 3.0 GPA. We do have one partner with a 3.2 GPA as well. Make sure that you meet any language requirements. For the most part, our partners teach in English, but there are some exceptions to that. And so you would need to be proficient in the language of instruction at a university. You can see on our website under each university profile what those requirements are. So if they don't list any language requirements, you're fine. But if they do, then you do need to pay attention to those. Have a look at the subject or the subjects you study. So for example, the University of Groningen only accepts students in their Faculty of Arts, so we can't place science students there. And again, like I mentioned, look at the type of exchange. So for example, art students can't be placed at partners in the TASUP program. So one key thing to look at as well, this is not a requirement or eligibility, but do look at the term dates. So some partners, particularly those in Germany and Japan, have very different start and end dates than we have at Queen's. So please inform yourself of what these start dates. So for example, in Germany and Japan, the term typically starts in March or April, which is obviously a lot further into the calendar year than at Queen's. We have put this information again on our website, but please do pay attention to it when you're doing your research. So like I said, it's good to kind of do a little bit of work, take a little bit of time to just kind of do some introspective work. So after you've kind of figured out, okay, I know maybe which program I want to apply to, I have an idea maybe of what some of the eligibility requirements are, then have a think about what some of your motivations and expectations for the program are. So we want you to consider, or really encourage you to consider all of these questions. So what are your goals? What do I need to achieve these goals? So not just want, but what do you need? What is mandatory and what is flexible within that? And who can you contact for support? So looking at your goals, you might ask yourself what your intentions are for exchange. Do you have academic goals? Maybe you have personal goals like reconnecting with your ancestral home. You may have a practical goal like improving a language skill. There are many reasons to want to study abroad and many great benefits, but it's really important to begin your experience by knowing what you want to accomplish and being honest with yourself about that. And these goals will drive your participation in the program. And so just being honest with yourself from day one will ensure all of the decisions you make will take you closer to accomplishing those goals. So once you have an idea of what your goals are, you can ask yourself what you need from a partner to achieve those. Are you looking for a partner that offers language courses so you can really work on these skills? If you're hoping to visit a place from your family's past, do you need to focus on a particular geographic area? What information and services do you need to access to follow through on your intention? So asking these questions will help you really tailor your research, and we encourage you to kind of loop back to these questions on a regular basis, just so you kind of can keep on track. And then also think about which of your intentions for you are just really important and which are maybe a little bit more flexible. So again, thinking about family history, is your goal to unpack your family's history? Is that your top priority, or is it maybe a nice to have, and is could be a flexible idea for when you're doing your research? Again, understanding that, being honest with yourself, being able to prioritize what's important will really help you. And then finally, we encourage you to think about who you can lean on for support during this process. Are your friends, your family, loved ones, caregivers supportive of the idea of you studying abroad? You might be the first person in the family to consider studying abroad. So our team can help you begin these conversations with your support network. And we can also provide support in terms of information and guidance. So just remember, you may intend to go on exchange alone, but you'll have a whole community of support behind you. Okay, so we hope that a lot of considerations are starting to surface in your minds as we talk about these introspective questions, which are all just intended to help you focus your research on the partners. So these aren't just theoretical, philosophical questions. We believe that these really will help you identify partners that will align with your goals. So we want this introspective work to lead you building an inventory of needs, the things you need to see in a partner to be confident that they are a suitable placement option for you. So needs might include things like course offerings, accessibility services, housing, community, cost of living, travel costs, climate, university size. And as you'll see, these things are things you may need and things that will be unique to each partner. So once you build your inventory of needs, you can determine which partners best meet them. And we want you to share some of your thoughts on what you think you might need from a partner university. So if you feel comfortable, I know we're a small group, please feel free to kind of pop those in the chat now, but there's no pressure to do so. Awesome, thanks, Sally. That's a really great one, building on those language skills. Anyone else want to jump in? Mia, yeah, traveling and exploring the world on your own. There's definitely something to be said for being independent and learning how to do that by yourself, and a lot of transferable skills there. And Claire, community, understanding different cultures, traditions, expanding your education around culture. Fantastic, absolutely. So, and I see Madeline, clubs and sports. Absolutely. So these are great ideas, kind of that you're starting to bring out, and really encourage you to then to think about which partners best meet those needs. Obviously, there may be some universities where they are a bit more into their clubs and to their sports than others, or there may be particular sports that certain destinations or universities promote. And then also, around culture and traditions. Claire, just really invite you to think about kind of what that can look like. It can look very, very different. Or I'll speak from my experience moving from the UK to Canada. I thought that the culture would be pretty similar, and I was fairly naive in that actually there's a whole heap of difference between UK culture and culture in Canada as well. So sometimes these differences are not immediately obvious. But thanks for sharing, everyone. So as you reflect on your own personal intentions and needs, you'll see an inventory of considerations build. And hopefully you'll have an array of factors like this that will guide your research. So what you see now on the screen is just an example of what your inventory might be. And so I just want to emphasize here, the goal is to determine what fills your inventory, not matching this. Okay, so again, lots of information being thrown at you, lots of ideas, like how do you do this? How do you kind of do the research? So I want to spend some time talking about the tools that we've built that we think will hopefully help you find a partner or partners that will align with your needs. So this resource, our Identity Abroad resource, is a tool that we hope will encourage you to think about your inventory of needs and what our partners offer. And it will provide resources like reflection questions, tips and considerations, and services and supports and resources. And so we've begun to build this resource with a focus on the needs of racialized students, Indigenous students, Two-Spirit LGBTQ+ students, students with disabilities, and students in faith communities. But we are also looking to expand this resource in years to come. We've tried to make the resource as intersectional as possible. And so we welcome any feedback on what we've posted, and we've also included resources about mental health abroad as well. So we know that many of you will have intersecting identities, and you may not feel that you fit neatly into one of these categories. So we're aware of that, and so if you do have any feedback about how we can improve this, please do let us know. And you can find that on the IPO website under the resources tab. Our partner profiles, this is a big one, an important tool. So this is on the outgoing exchange tab under the programs link. And so these profiles outline the key facts that you need to know about a partner, including GPA, keep on mentioning GPA, language requirements again, and term date. So those three big things I mentioned before. The profiles also link you to many other research tools, which we'll discuss in a bit. And we also provide a good overview of partner profiles in our Get an A+ in Exchange webinar. So there we are plugging Exchange 101 and Get an A+ in Exchange webinar. We also want to note that you're not limited to just using the tools and resources listed on our website. Really encourage you to look at external sources like the news, and not just necessarily the news in Canada or whatever, wherever your home country is, but look at the news website for the destination that you're looking at going to. Maybe blogs that are have been written by students, may not necessarily be Queen's students, might be from other universities, government advisories, and the list goes on. And just a note here, hopefully it's evident, but if you do click on the plus sign by each university name, that will expand the box and that will give you more information about it. And then the exchange program on the right-hand side, that is a link and that will take you to the application process for that particular program. Okay, so on that program's webpage, you'll find a link to our exchange research checklist. And this is just a kind of few really kind of high level things for you to think about. It's not an exhaustive list. It's just kind of designed to get you thinking about which partners are right for you. And so this is helpful if you just need a bit of direction on how to start your research, and may inform the building of your own inventory of needs that we were just talking about a bit earlier. Another thing that we encourage you to look at is the fact sheet for each host university. So on that website that was just a couple of slides back with the university profiles, you'll find a link to the university fact sheet where we have it. There's a few universities where we don't have a fact sheet, but we do have a link to the exchange website. So this is really important because this is information from the university itself. And they will look a little bit different because they are produced by every university. So the format will look different. Some of the information may change, but the fundamentals should be pretty much the same. And some of them may be a couple of pages long, some of them may be 10, 15, 20 pages long. So do look at the date of the fact sheet as well. We try to keep the fact sheets as up to date as possible. So we'll try and find them ourselves and we will post them when our partners send them to them. But sometimes a partner won't update their fact sheet for a year or two for different reasons. That can impact some of the information as well. So we encourage you to cross-check that with the host university website as well. Speaking of which, do encourage you to go onto the Exchange partner website. That's where you're going to find the most current and up-to-date information. And they'll typically have links to other areas of the university as well, so you can kind of get a bit of a sense of what that university is like. So much like the Queen's website, it will tell you everything from housing to academics to clubs to student services. And most of them should have all the information you need to make or to help you with your research. So a few of you mentioned clubs and sports and traveling, which are all great reasons for wanting to go on exchange. Hopefully academics is up there as well. So we do offer transfer credit reports where students have transferred courses back in the past. You can find those on our partner profiles as well. So these transfer credit reports are records of credits that have transferred from partner universities in the past. And they can be helpful if you're trying to determine whether a partner offers courses in a particular area. I just want to caution, they're not a guarantee of how future credit will transfer. And they also don't, they're not a list of all the courses that you'll be limited to taking at a partner. So, for example, this is the University of the West Indies. And you can see that there are, I think, 7 biology courses there. That doesn't mean that the University of Western East only offers 7 biology courses. It just means that these are the ones that have transferred back in the past. You'll see also that the list is alphabetical, so it goes from biology to commerce. That doesn't necessarily mean that University of West Indies doesn't offer chemistry courses. It just means that a student hasn't transferred back a chemistry course in the past. And obviously for our new partners, because we haven't sent any students there, we don't have any transfer credit reports at the moment. Another great resource, which you know because you're from the Exchange webinar series, but if you haven't been able to get to all of them, we have posted recordings for previous webinars, so encourage you to check those out on our website. And our exchange fair, which is coming up in the next couple of weeks. So this will be held virtually, as the second year that we're doing it virtually. And actually, a big difference from when we were doing it in person was the fact that we could actually get our partners involved. So we're hoping to have lots of our partners represented at this fair, where you can actually talk to staff from the partner universities and get a real insight into what life is like there. We're hoping also to have students who are on exchange at the moment from our partner universities participate. Obviously, we didn't have students out last year, so the number of Queen students that we that can provide their testimonials or experiences is going to be a little bit limited. So do encourage you to sign up for that, and that's running over 4 days in mid-November. And I've mentioned the IPO Zoom room before. So this is our schedule. Actually, just to let you know, we've had to cancel today's Zoom room on the 3rd of November. But for the most part, this will be when the schedule is running. So do drop in if you have those kind of specific questions that I mentioned earlier. So just to let you know, a couple of resources that we're hoping to get prepped in the next couple of weeks is the Exchange Capacity Guide and our Spaces and Places. So the Capacity Guide is a new tool that we've used just once before, and that was designed to show you the number of spaces we had for placing students per partner and how many students apply to each partner. So the purpose of that document is really just to kind of show you which are the popular partners and which have been the less popular ones. Like I said, that does change from year to year a bit, although certain regions have typically been more popular in the past. And Spaces and Places is a tool that we publish every year that will tell you the number of spaces that we have at each partner for placing students in the upcoming cycle. We may be a little bit delayed in publishing this tool, but our aim is to get that up when we publish the exchange application, which we're hoping will coincide with the exchange fair, so mid-November. So if you didn't get the message, we really encourage you to attend our exchange fair, which is running from the 15th to the 18th. And you can sign up online for that. So this is just a few of the students in the past who have gone to different destinations. You can see lots of different places there. And yeah, we hope you are thinking about where your degree can take you. So that was a little bit more than 20 minutes, so apologies for that, and thank you to those of you who stayed for the full presentation. I'm happy to stay online for just a few more minutes if people do have questions, but I'm going to stop the recording now.